Ladies and gentlemen, I tell you what, I'm excited today. I have with me Mr. Jon Kelley. What's up, man?
Yo, Cedric, I got the pleasure's mine. I mean, you're one of those all galaxy Renaissance men. You do it all, man. You do sports, you do gospel. You're tapped into everything, man. It's a pleasure to be on with you, brother.
I'm a huge fan of yours, and real quickly, I want to tell a story. I got my start because of a lady by the name of Lori Thomas, who went to Kearney State there in Nebraska. And I had just came, I served in the military, and I was down in Fort Riley, Kansas. I was a Signal Corps officer. I did my advanced training there, and I came back, and she heard my voice. We had cassettes and all that stuff back then, and she heard me do an air check. And she said, "Oh, you got a chance." And that's all I needed. Somebody gave me a chance. So what's your story? What did somebody say to you to give you a start?
That's a beautiful story, and thank you for your service, brother. But, and I love hearing stories like that. And I always tell young people, be ready because you never know when something might happen. But again, that's such a cool way to begin. My story was I was in school finishing up. I wanted to get into broadcasting. Long story short, there was an interview for a summer internship. And the teacher told me just to go in and do it. So I went in there, I took my reel. The guy said, "I don't need to see a reel. We're just kind of talking." By the end of the interview, for some reason, he offered me a full-time job doing sports. I played football in Nebraska. And he said, "How about you coming out and being my weekend sportscaster?" So I got lucky like you did. Someone saw something in me within that first half hour, and I was off to the races. It was Sioux City, Iowa, $3.75 an hour, which was a raise. He offered me $3.25 an hour. And I was like, "Cool, I'm in." He laughed. He was like, "Hey, you just jumped on that too easy." He goes, "Lucky day. You're getting a raise on your first day, $3.75 an hour." And I found out on my first check, after taxes, you can't really live off $3.75 an hour with an apartment, food, clothing. So it was a wake up call. But I was on TV in a very small market, but that's where I learned my bones.
Wow. Now let's talk about your family. What did your mom or your grandmother? What did they say when they said Jon is on TV? What was it like? What did it mean to you?
I can tell you, my mama was my biggest fan from day one. She would tell people at the grocery store that I was going to be the first Black president. So she was really, Barack Obama got in my way, man. He got it first. So I'm going to let him have that one. I'm a big fan. But yes, my mama, I have two older brothers. They were my biggest cheerleaders, because when I first got in, you know how it is. When you first get in, you're trying to figure things out. Even when I'd struggle, they would tell me how great I was. My mom was like, "Oh, you're better than Brian Gumbel. You got this. You got this." So she was the wind beneath my wings. And that's what's so important now. And I now have family with a wife and 5 young children. And it's the greatest thing ever. It's a madhouse because they're all young, but it's a house full of love. But I'm all about the family, and you nailed it on the head. That was the support I got. How people feel when you first got your gig?
Man, let me just say this. It was like my mom, it was so amazing. I'll say this. And I was wanting to be on the radio and TV in Dallas, Fort Worth. And she told me to stop by the country station on my way to Dallas. And then they had a pop station. So I went in there and took my resume and my little cassette air check. I still have it. Hold on a second. Let me get it right quick.
I love it. I see you back there with all your trophies and awards, man. You're highly decorated. It's nice to see all your goodness. So you got the original.
Yeah. And that tape, I made copy. Cassettes, yes. And took it and dropped it off. And when I got back to the college, because I'm an alpha, my frat brother said, "Hey, man, that station called you and they want you to start next week." So I took the weekend show and I got it, man. And, during that time period, I had a chance to drive the station wagon around for the station, had to be back at a certain time because we have beta and VHS tapes and everything. And you're not going to believe what my first story was.
Tell me.
Going to Durant, Oklahoma, Southeastern Savages, East Central. And there's a guy by the name of Dennis Rodman playing on that team.
Wow.
The Worm is what we called him. And
man, he was like a 25-year-old college student.
And you had a chance to cover him in Chicago with the Bulls.
Dennis Rodman and I was in Chicago from 1991 through 98. So I was there working for NBC for every single playoff game during the championship. So I was a blessed, lucky man. Young in the game, but got a huge break going to Chicago. And you're right, along with Michael Jordan, who was the biggest star on the planet, I did a Sunday night show with Dennis Rodman for 2 seasons.
You didn't know what to expect, did you, Jon? You didn't know what
You're right, and that's what made it brilliant. It was unpredictable, and as you know, because you've covered him up close, and maybe he was a little younger then. Dennis is like a sly and smart like a fox, and he always knew how to take it right to the edge, which made it for riveting television. So our show was off the chains, and Rodman always came to play. And I got close with Dennis, and Dennis is a unique cat, but once you get close with him, he takes care of people in his circle, but he's a much more shy guy than people imagine until he gets to know you. You saw him young in the game. He won't look people in the eye. But
Yeah.
Dennis was a pleasure to work with. And you're right, man. Unpredictable is an understatement of what he was every Sunday night.
Well, you were the right man for the job. And I'll say this as we move on, because I want to talk about HBCUGO. But the reason why I'm doing this is because people need to know it's a journey for you to get where you are. You have to go through. You're going to have some ups and downs. If they told me a long time ago, because you're a writer too as well, that print would not be here, it wouldn't be here today. It is still here, but it's not like what it was, because you can pull up your cell phone now and read a story and have it. By the time they print it and it's put together, then it's kind of like yesterday's news, you know. And so what happened to me when I was in Dallas at that gospel station, this lady pulls up in a green Mercedes and she says, "Brother Bailey, I've been listening to you for years." And I said, "Yes, ma'am." And I said, "What's your name?" She said, "Mrs. Rodman." And it was Dennis's mom. No.
So the Rodmans were big fans of Cedric Bailey.
Well, they were gospel music lovers. So that's why I just say that. And I just haven't been playing the music. Now let's go ahead and talk about something else. Your journey with the one and only Byron Allen, because man, let me tell you something. I watched your show. Funny you should ask. You got
a game show.
A game show. You got Sherry Shepard, Vivica Fox, my man Louie, and then of course Byron Allen is sitting on the set. You got these contestants, and the owner, the man. I remember when Byron Allen was just a plain comedian. You go on YouTube and pull up his videos. But to own the Weather Channel and all these shows that you watch with these reality shows, these judges, it has Allen Media Group. Talk about your journey, how you met him, Jon.
Great question. And the game show, some of the most fun I've had in my entire life. Byron and I started working together about 8 years ago. And yes, it's like the old Hollywood squares, 6 comedians, but we don't have the X's and O's, but it's such a fun, good time. We tape 6 in one day. So I tell people I get paid to laugh for 8 hours. I literally, because I don't know the punchlines, but yeah, we have Tiffany Haddish on, Anthony Anderson's been on, Byron's one of our panelists, but he is what I used to call back in the day, because he's built this from the ground up. Byron built his company, his empire now, Allen Media Group, from one show. But that's after he was on way back in the day. You probably are my demographic and remember he was on Real People.
Yes.
Young 18-year-old comic. He was the youngest comic to ever appear on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. And that was his break. The night after that show, he told me his phone was blowing up after appearing, doing his stand-up as a high school student on The Tonight Show. He got 5 offers for network shows, and he decided to take Real People, which was the original reality show covering stories across the country. And Byron did that show, had success, but when he was up for renegotiation, he found out they weren't willing to pay him what he thought he deserved, or at least close to his co-hosts, and he didn't like that. He decided right then and there, he said, "This isn't show business, it's business show." And he said, "I wasn't going to let anybody tell me my value." So he stepped back to learn the business side of it, and he has been killing it. So he's become a media mogul now. 30 plus local stations. We've got 14 full-time 24-hour networks, including the Weather Channel. We have HBCU Sports. We have a digital app called Local Now. But he has built this now. He is a behemoth, but one of the smartest, sharpest businessmen I've ever known. He's a comedian by trade, but the dude is he's a numbers guy. It's like the Matrix going through his head, and he loves it. That's his warrior field, like athletes go into the ring. Byron loves business, but he has been a genius. Been great working with him for 8 years. We used to double date with our wives back before we married him, way back in the day. So I met him, your question was how I met him, at a junket doing movies when I was working at a TV show called Extra. And I knew he was special. He came up to me, I remember him. I remember seeing Byron Allen. He introduced himself. He said, "Hey, you're the new guy at Extra." And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Hey, man, we should have lunch. I like what you're doing. We should have lunch." And I was like, cool. And in my mind, I'm thinking, cool to see him still on the area, the late night kind of infomercial time slots. I'm like, it's good that the brother's still kind of hanging on and doing it and still, in the game. He turns around after shaking my hand and says, "I'll see you tomorrow." He steps into this brand new $200,000 Aston Martin, zzz, and pulls off. And I stood there, paused, and I said, "That's not infomercial money." And this was about 15 years ago. So I looked him up and I was like, man, this brother has been killing it, but no one knew it. And he was a power hitter, a black power hitter in Hollywood for the last 20 years. And he has built this empire. So it's been inspiring working with him, and it's been brilliant. I love being part of this mix.
Now, how did you get involved to be a part of HBCUGO?
Great question. Curtis Simons had come up with this vision of what he wanted to do for a black sports network. Came up with HBCUGO. NBC, 5-6 years ago, almost bought it and acquired him, but that fell through. Byron was looking to do more in that space for our black culture, because Byron believes in black excellence, black culture, and really uplifting our people. And he saw this opportunity, called Curtis and said, "I want to get into sports. I'd like to grab and buy your network." So he ended up buying the app and the network. They partnered, but it was through acquisitions. That's how Byron got it. And then for the last 4 years, we've been pumping fuel into it. Began the first year, had to have the growing pains just getting the games on. We're in season 4 right now. So we carry HBCU football and basketball. Eventually, we cover other Olympic sports. And it has been a pleasure, one of the most important jobs I've had, having a chance to illuminate, celebrate, and elevate these great colleges, the individuals, the administrations, the athletes. You know, so many Hall of Famers. Oh, look, I thought we lost you there. So many Hall of Famers have, gone through these schools. So we have a chance to take these young brothers who are killing it now on the football field and showcase them every weekend.
I'm pulling up the screen, man. I'm looking at it. You guys. This is all free. All you got to do is take your phone or your computer, your tablet, and download it. And you got the big game in Tallahassee, the matchup this weekend, Alabama State and Florida A&M.
Yeah, and that's what's great. So we have it. You can get it on our app, HBCU Go. If you don't have it, go download it. Favorite price, free 99. So you can get that, stream it on all your apps. You can get it on Roku, Apple TV. We're now on Amazon Prime. We have the Grio cable network. So we're not hard to find if you know what you're looking for. So go find the game you're looking for, put us in any of those, get the app, stream us online. We're available. And with cats like you, Cedric, appreciate you putting the word out. People are starting to get on board because these schools, these athletes, these programs have been underserved and underappreciated. And we can put that spotlight and get funding for them because people are aware. Recruit students who've never heard of the schools or maybe don't know much about it. We can make that more of an interesting prospect and really bring some light and love to these schools. And again, I am proud to be a part of this. I've been in the game a long time. This is absolutely one of the most important jobs I've had.
Now, who's a part of your broadcast team?
So, the first 3 seasons, remember Charlie Neal?
Oh, yes, the legend.
From Black College Sports, BET. So Charlie and I tag team for the first 3 seasons. And he was going to do some of the games this year. He's had a couple of health issues. He's still kind of coming through. Hopefully, Charlie's going to be back soon. So it was Charlie Neal and I. Charlie did play-by-play again, working with the legend. He has been such a pleasure, and he is a genius in the game, well-respected. You walk on these campuses, the people in the administration know him. The coaches now were players when Charlie was broadcasting. So it's been Charlie Neal and I for 3 seasons. This year, a young man by the name of James Hadnot. He is kind of picking up the torch right now for Charlie, and he's been my play-by-play guy for these first 4 games and will likely continue throughout this season. We met him 2 years ago when he was still in school, came up, introduced himself to me and Charlie, and said he wanted to get in the game, stayed in touch with us. An opportunity came up because we have double headers on our B game.
Yes. Charlie
called our coordinators and said, "Hey, I got this young man who's really good, young, growing, learning." They put him on a couple of the B games, and it was like, your job, kind of fell in his lap, and he has taken full control. So James Hadnot is great. So he's the future of play-by-play, and one of those guys. Went to Syracuse University like all the big names, Bob Costas, Mike Tirico. So he has the great pedigree. He always comes prepared. So he's kind of like Charlie Neal Jr. coming in and swinging strong.
All right. Now, that's awesome. Now, what's next on the agenda after you finish this game in Tallahassee? Where will we see you next?
Well, I want to also mention this weekend as part of our doubleheader, we have the Southern Heritage Classic, year 36. So, again, we do the 2 games. We have Alabama State at FAMU. That's why I'm here in Tallahassee. But the Southern Heritage Classic this year, it's Alcorn State and Arkansas Pine Bluff. And they do it up big. It's in Memphis, Tennessee. Sometimes they get crowds of 50,000 people. So it's a great, great lineup. So it's really been fun. But we've got, instead of just going game by game of what we have, what's been great about this year's schedule is we've really gotten into some high-profile games. The first couple of years we had to battle because we were new on the block. ESPN had some long-term deals that had to finish out before we could get some of the games we wanted. But now we've got multiple homecomings. We've got the Southern Heritage Classic, the Gulf Coast Challenge. So we know what it is about broadcasting that sells sports. You need to have rivalries, games of consequence, and superstars. And we have all those now. So we also have a big Las Vegas Classic coming up this year. That's going to be Jackson State hosting Grambling State in Las Vegas. And that's going to be a big time bash. And you always get the battle of the bands, right? So again, through all these different games, it's just been a pleasure. But every weekend we have 2 games. So there's something for everybody. And we've really done a good job of spreading around our broadcast. So all the schools from the SWAC and the SIAC, getting a lot of love. And that's what you can see right there. And then we also have the CIAA championship game as well. So we're swinging hard. And again, people are slowly figuring us out. But being on with guys like you, it really makes a difference.
Man, I'm going to tell you, North Carolina Central Eagles. Woo!
There it is. Yeah, and I'm telling you, it's been such a great experience watching these schools, talking to these coaches. We have Eddie Robinson Jr. this week, he was a stud when he played at Alabama State. And now, he's carrying on the tradition of the Black College, Hall of Famer, Eddie Robinson Sr. So it's just been such an eye-opening experience. And you've been on the campuses, you understand, to be with these students, smaller campuses, traditionally underfunded by billions of dollars, and we know that's systemic and by design. So we're swinging hard, carrying hammers, trying to break down these walls that have been set up for decades by design. And this is one small way to do that, but I think collectively we can all make it happen.
John, I tell you what, you've done a phenomenal job. I want people to be sure to download the app so they can watch the games. And the good thing about it, not only is it free, but if you miss it, you could watch one of the games and then come back later on. And these kids, they're smart. They will take out their tablets while they're riding on the bus back, and they will watch the game, and it's helping them. It's a whole difference from when you play football, because I think you were drafted by the Broncos, or you went as a free agent with Denver. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, it's a whole different world. And you're right, man. Thank you for bringing it up. On HBCUGO, the app, we have them on demand, so you can catch those. And then on the Grill, we replay them on our 24-hour Black network. So it is a completely different world, man. I played back when we wore leather helmets. That's how long it's been for me. They timed us into 40 with a sundial. That's how old I am. So but it's so cool to watch these young people and the technology. And again, as crazy as social media can be, when used correctly, these platforms are just phenomenal. And it's exciting. It is the most exciting time in the world to be a creator, to be a broadcaster. The streaming of what we can do, what we're doing right now, we couldn't do this in the past. So there are no limits except someone's creativity and then work ethic and discipline. You can go create. So like you, man, you're broadcaster right now. I'm assuming that's your house. So
yeah, that's my home.
It's a beautiful thing. And by God, you got some trophies back there, man. Look at you getting celebrated. Is that a turntable back there too?
Yeah, it's a turntable. I got that as a gift, man. It's a techniques, bro.
Techniques, man. Just drop the needle. See, man. I love it. And you and I are blessed. We get to do something we love, covering and connecting with people, right?
Yes. And I want to say this in closing, I consider an honor. You also got a book that you co-wrote. Tell us about that book before we wrap up.
Yeah, I wrote that a long time ago. It's called Breaking into Broadcasting. When I was working in Chicago, my co-anchor at the time, we decided, because I spoke at a lot of colleges, and I would speak to students, and I would get the same kind of questions over and over. What do I need to do to break in? What do I need to do to get a job? So we decided to put it on paper and just sell it to help students. So we got out to a lot of colleges, but it was more just to be a guide on what to do and sharing the journey that we had to get into broadcasting. So it's that first or next job you wanted to get, we were giving people tools. The game has changed a little since I wrote that book, but the core of it, the blocking and tackling, is the same. As getting out there like you did, stop off at a station, drop off your cassette back in the day. Now you send files or you show them your social media, but you have to be your own best agent. And that's really what we tried to talk about. And then being creative and being who you are on TV. Don't try to copy anybody else. Be true and authentic to who you are, because that'll make you unique and that makes you marketable. And then you have more fun. If you're worried about trying to put on an act or be something you're not, it never comes off real. So again, I love your energy because you're chill. You got the vibe, great energy. You can't teach that. You just have to teach people to unleash what they have.
Wow. Going back as we close out your days at Nebraska, so I assume you was in there during the Big Eight, Tom Osborne and all that and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm from Oklahoma, that's where I'm at. But I know that matchups with the Sooners and the Cornhuskers, man, them people, they would travel in their RV and be gone for a week, loaded up with food and snacks. But what was your greatest moment being there in Nebraska?
Well, I can tell you, brother said that anybody who's lived that understands that is the big culture touch point in college football, because oftentimes we were number one or the Oklahoma was number one and vice versa. Barry Switzer versus Tom Osborne. And during my run, we had Mike Rozier, Heisman Trophy winner, Turner Gill, Irving Fryer. We were stacked on offense, averaged over 55 points a game. But every damn time Barry Switzer showed up with his team, somehow we had the better roster. During my era, Switzer always came in and chopped our knees out. Keith Jackson's senior year, we were winning that, getting ready to go to the Orange Bowl, undefeated. We were number one, they were number two. We were getting ready to go to the Orange Bowl after beating Oklahoma. Fourth quarter, Keith Jackson and I believe it was J.C. Watts was the quarterback.
But Jamel Holloway.
Jamel was that year. That's right. Jamel Holloway. Fourth quarter, some crazy tip pass. Keith Jackson hauls it in, and they beat us. We played them when they had Brian Bosworth, came in and upset us. So it was crazy. We played down there in Oklahoma, Norman, and we played up in Nebraska. I think 3 of the 4 years I was there, Oklahoma beat us.
Wow, amazing story. As we close out, man, Bud Crawford, Terrence Crawford, just had a parade for him there in Nebraska. But when you see a guy like this who leaves, Nebraska and is the best of the best in the game, and he's so cool, calm, and collective, and he goes back and he takes all the belts and give them back to Canelo Alvarez. What does that make you think about a young man who grew up in your hometown?
Well, you know what, and you watch, and anybody, and hopefully people, if you haven't seen it, watch it on Netflix. There's the fight leading up to it, right? The different documentary of this. Bud Crawford has just been this amazing Cinderella story of perseverance, hard work, and just relentless force of nature. And not only what he did to get to that point, to deserve that fight against Canelo, who's been just revered for so long. And you see it and what you really see the contrast, Canelo living this, $1 billion lifestyle, buying $1 million watches. Then they cut to Bud living in Omaha with his kids in a tough part of town, to watch what he came through and has overcome, and then to win it and then be as gracious as he was. Look, this is one of those guys in your life that changes people's lives, because he shows a path for young people out there. So again, I've never met him personally, but I'm one of his biggest fans. I've never cheered as hard as I have at a boxing match, watching him put it to him, and he earned every moment of that. So he is just a perfect example of what someone can do regardless of your tough upbringing. Again, it's not a fair fight out there all the time, but there are opportunities, but you got to be bigger and better and stronger than everybody to give yourself a chance. And Bud Crawford's the perfect example.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jon Kelley, I need to be on the show. Funny you should ask. I think I could give it a try, man. So,
do you want to be a contestant or do you want to be a comic?
No, I want to be a contestant. I want to be put on the spot. Okay.
Come on and win some money, man. Hey, that would be awesome. We need to have it where we have like a celebrity version of it. We'll have you come on. It's a great time. Sometime though, when you're out, Cedric, when you're out in LA ever, give us a heads up. Come watch the taping. We tape 6 in one day. And I can tell you some of the best stuff that hits the cutting room floor. It's an experience. We've got 6 genius comics in the same room. It is just explosive. I don't know the punchline, so I'm getting an ab workout because I laugh all day. I would welcome you to come in and join us, be a part of the mix, and come see what we do, and then we'll put you on the show.
I want to be there when Jack K. Harris will be in there, okay? Because she is
some of my favorites. Jack K, Vivica Fox. It's been such a good time. We've got some crazy people with crazy genius talent. I think you'd love it, man. And you should come on. Come win the money.
All right. Thank you so much, Jon Kelley. HBCU, go check it out. Download the app and get ready to follow them and watch some incredible HBCU football games. And we thank you so much for being with us here on the Cedric Bailey Radio Show.
Cedric, appreciate you, brother. Continued success, man. Great talking to you anytime.
Thank you so much.